Hey guys, Sunday morning. Yeah, I just loaded up a video, and winter has arrived. It's snowing and it's 8 below 0. So cold. You know, we went from t-shirt weather a couple days ago to throwing on the big coat. So yeah, winter's here. Um, in the interest of getting content out, um, sometimes you film a project and you get it up to a certain point, you got enough to put the video out, but you haven't quite finished it 100%. And I've got a bunch of those things, especially on the frame. So I'm going to address all those. Made myself a list, almost like a work order, because if I don't write things down, man, you forget. Um, part of getting old, I guess. There's a lot of things happen when you get old. You forget stuff. You can't move like you used to. You can't get a nut on a bolt easily. You used to be able to just reach in underneath and thread it on there, no problem. Now, if you don't put eyeballs on it, you can screw around with that nut all friggin' day before you get it on there. So little things like that. I used to have a dick. Now it just looks like a button on a fur coat. So there's stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, I'll go over the list on the frame of all those little things. It's all piddly stuff, cotter pins and grease fittings and stuff like that. So anyway, we'll get on that. And at the same time, I'm going to be doing body work on the cab. I've got it on the cart like I showed in the last video. And I've got the frame up in the air on the hoist. So yeah, plenty of stuff to do. So, might as well just get to it, man. Okay, so I've made my list, and I'll go over it real quick. I always post my list to the right to the post of the hoist, and yeah. So a couple little things. I've put my grease fittings on the upper ball joints, but I haven't put them in the lower ones yet. I've also got to put my cotter pins in the castle nuts, top and bottom. I've still got to order the shocks. I don't have them yet. And this wheel kind of drags a bit, and it's rubbing on the outer brake pad. So I think maybe I just have to tighten up the rotor a little bit. I'll see if I've got room. I thought I tightened it up as much as I could, but we'll see if I can bring it in. If not, I'll have to shave the outer pad a couple of thousandths of an inch, I guess. What else? Yeah, same thing on this side. And my steering rack, I've got a Fox Body one upstairs. I'll have to bring that down, see what it needs to bring up to snuff, and see if I can get that in. I can put my water pump on. I can clean this off here, clean the paint off these flanges, and get my exhaust manifolds installed. And I have sourced out an intake manifold and carburetor. The guy shipped it out to me yesterday, so it should be here this week, coming by mail. So yeah, and I can also mount the brackets for the flex lines and hook those up, and even run brake lines. I'll just leave extra slack to go to the master cylinder. When I put the rear springs in, I didn't have all the right bolts, so these are a little bit undersized. I've since picked up the proper bolts, so I've got to change those out. I've also got to finish welding up the tank mount and drilling all my holes. Haven't done that yet. I've got to paint the rear axle and put fluid in it. So yeah, so there's that. I'm going to see if I've got a drive shaft. I don't know. I've got a few upstairs. Maybe I'll get lucky. I got lucky on my 50 Ford. I had one that fit right in. So we'll see. I can run brake lines. I can run brake lines from the wheel cylinders to the splitter. It's at the back of the diff, or right there, actually. And then I can mount my bracket off of my tank mount for the flex line, and I can run the brake line all the way up to the front. I can also, once I mount the tank, put my sending unit in. I have it. And run a fuel line all the way to the front again. And I can start putting bits on the engine, starter, the fuel pump, like I said, the water pump, and get this thing that much closer to being ready to fire up. So there's a bunch of little stuff. I'm going to do that while and in between doing body work on the cab. If I get bored or tired of sanding, which I guarantee I will, it's because sanding is not my thing. I hate it, but it's got to be done. So if I've had enough one day, I can, switch over to this and knock a few things off the list and, zip, and eventually it'll all get done. So that's the plan. So, yeah, I'm going to start first with body work. Okay, so after scuffing the door and the cowl and whatever, I laid a bit of putty on there, and now it's ready to sand. But while I was waiting for it to dry, I knocked a few things off on the front end. I've got my grease fittings in underneath the bottom ball joints, and I put my cotter pins in. See that? Top and bottom, so they're all done. And I tried pulling the cap off and to see if I had, tightened that rotor on good enough, and it was tight. It was good. So I put that back together, and I pulled the caliper off and took the outer pad and ran it on my bench mounted belt sander. Took a couple of thousandths of an inch off, put it back together, and now she she spins fine. So yeah, that's what you want. So yeah, I can cross a couple things off my list. Okay, so it's Tuesday now. Excuse me. Last night I did a little bit of sanding on this, and then well, actually late yesterday afternoon, and I went on a road trip to pick up some stuff, and I got a few things. First, I got a new toy, a 220 amp heavy duty wire feed welder. So for doing heavier fabrication and bracket work and stuff like that, this is probably a much better machine for it than what I've been using, a little MIG. But anyway, I got to run some wiring to plug it in, and I got to get another gas bottle and stuff like that. But yeah, good score on that. When you're welding to, especially stuff like rear ends and stuff, you need the heat. You need something bigger. So that's a good score. Also, I had mentioned fenders a couple days ago, and I picked up these two. There's this one, and its brother right over there. These are fiberglass. The two metal ones that he had were, well, they were about the same condition as the ones I have, so there was no real point in grabbing them, other than maybe he wanted to clean out his shed. I'm not sure. But anyway, I did grab the fiberglass ones, and they're pretty decent quality glass fenders, so I might even use them. I never really liked fiberglass, but the stigma that goes with it, or whatever you want to call it, that's kind of gone now. I mean, there's just a lot less steel ones out there, so as long as it's good quality fiberglass, and there's not a lot of, they kind of stand alone. They just bolt to the side of the box. It's not like front fenders where you have, fitment issues and stuff like that. The grill, the hood, and everything else attaches to it. So yeah, rear fender's not a big deal. There's a few scratches and stuff on them, but basically it's a little bit of putty, some priming, sanding, and they're paint ready. So yeah, that's good. What else? Oh yeah, so I was having trouble with my square body. Wasn't charging, so when I picked up the fenders, there was another buddy there that had an alternator. I said I think my alternator is going. He says, well, you need one? He just lives around the corner from this guy. He says, drop in and I'll fix you up. So I grabbed this one, and this morning I was playing around under the hood of the square body, and the connector was loose. Wasn't snapping in nicely, so I played around with it a little bit, and I got it to connect in there right, and it seems to be charging now. But I still need an alternator for that thing anyway. So yeah, I spent a little bit of time cleaning it up, so and we could polish that thing right up. It's a aluminum case. You can polish them up almost like chrome. So
yeah, I'm going to carry on polishing it and making it look pretty. And also, this morning, I went upstairs and I grabbed my steering rack, power steering rack. This is out of a Fox body. It's in pretty good shape. A little grungy, but it just needs to be cleaned up. And these rod ends are too long. I'm 51 inches center to center, end to end. And on the truck, it's about 46 inches. So I'm thinking, I did a little homework. I haven't confirmed it yet, but I think the Mustang 2 rod ends should have the same threads as this one here, So if I get this one off, they're about 3 inches long. So they're half the length. So that should give me the 5 inches that I need. So once I confirm that, I'll order them, get them in, get these ones off, and switch them out. But does bolt right on. I checked that, and everything seems to be good here. There's no leaks or anything like that. Even the rubber boots are in good shape. So yeah, I'm going to be using that. And yeah, also have the double D shaft and a rag joint and everything that goes with it. So we got a good chunk of our steering figured out. It'll be just what column I'm using and how to attach it to the column. So moving right along. Anyway, I'm going to carry on with some body work, and I got to put some of this shit away because I'm going to be stumbling over it all the time. But yeah, good score last night. Okay, good morning. It's Wednesday morning. I can confirm we have snow on the ground. Sucks. Anyway, I've been spent most of the evening doing body work. Sanded this thing twice. This is the third coat, I believe. The back is pretty wavy, so because I use thin coats, I always say that, thin coats, it's going to take a few more coats on the back here. The side is almost done, and that's what I've been working on. I try and divide it up into sections so you're not running around all over the place getting nothing done. So I decided to do this side and the back first. And yeah, so like I said, this side is almost done. It's ready for sanding. But while I was working last night, I took a break in between, and I was checking Facebook, and there was a message. I forgot I'd put a wanted intake and carb thing on the local car club's Facebook page, and a local guy messaged me saying he's got an Edelbrock Performer and a 600 CFM Edelbrock carb. It's only it was on the car for 3,000 clicks, and he went to fuel injection. And this morning, my one from down south arrived. So this is a Wyand dual plane. Yeah, from what I read about it, it's a decent intake, and it came with this 500 CFM. It's a Carter competition series, and the only thing I don't like about this one is there's no electric choke. So I'm going to buy the other one as well. I'm going to pick it up on Sunday. And if it's got an electric choke, I'm going to use that carb on this engine. So, I'll try and source out an electric choke for this one if I can get one, and yeah, go from there. So, things keep showing up here. The parts are starting to stockpile a little bit, so I'm gonna have to start getting some of this shit on the truck. Also, my shocks, I have ordered them. They're in shipping right now. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the shorter rod ends, aftermarket actually. They were Flaming River that has them, so that fixes my problem with length. And yeah, I got to clean that up. So when those things arrive, I can get that on the truck as well. So moving right along, I'm just going to carry on sanding and doing body work. Probably going to tackle the firewall next. So yeah, wish me luck. Okay, so I just put on my fourth, and I believe going to be the final coat on the side, and yeah, that should be ready to sand out shortly. I'm going to go over this real quick. You can see that it's this is bare metal here, so it's low here. It's also, you can tell by how it's darker. you know, the sandpaper's not touching it, so it's low there. This is a bit of a high spot, but we're not through the bare metal yet. So this is a low spot here and here and here. So yeah, we just got to skim out certain areas. We're probably going to have to hit this this time, plus probably 2 more final skims to get her nice and smooth. But it's coming along. So I'm going to set up the camera and I'll do this real quick. And yeah. Okay. Just going to build up the low spots right now. And then, you know, it'll take the final skim to really smooth it right out. Again, thin coats. That should be not bad. Okay, pretty much it. Got a little bit left. Put it here. Don't like to waste anything. Here we go. So I'll just clean up my tools and that's it. Okay, so there you go. Some body work, a little bit of mechanical stuff, not a whole lot, but some. But we are getting parts in, so that's a big deal. Like I said, the shocks, front shocks, and the rod ends should be in hopefully next week. I do have a question though for you folks out there. Fox body, power rack, and small block Chevy. Do I use a Ford power steering pump, or is there an aftermarket one, or what's the dealio? Somebody out there must know, because everybody's running Mustang 2 type front ends, so I'm sure someone's knows exactly what to use. And if you don't mind, put it in comments down below. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. Speaking of leaving comments, everyone's welcome to leave comments. I love to read them, and I do respond to them. So yeah, don't forget to leave comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Got another good bunch of subscribers last week, and I appreciate it. So that's always good. Yeah, there's going to be other parts coming in too. Some flex lines. I've got to pick up some brake lines. I did go upstairs and I rooted through my stuff, and I found a couple of different brake pedal setups and a throttle pedal setup. So I'm going to see if I can make those work. What else? Yeah, that other carbon intake will be here Sunday. So hopefully that carb has an automatic choke on it. That would be good, and I'll just use that one, and then we'll be set up. Other than that, the extra manifolded carb, well, I have other small block Chevys here, so it's not going to waste. I'll need it eventually, so it's good to have it on the shelf and ready to go. Yeah, other than that, we're going to keep plugging away on the body work. I should have this cab just about done in another week and a half or so, ready to block sand. So that means from the cab forward, all ready for for priming and block sanding. So there'll only be the box and the rear fenders. And the rear fenders, well, there's not much to them. It's you know, a few scratches and scrapes and stuff to clean up and prime and paint them. So yeah, we're moving right along. So hopefully we'll be ready for paint like early in the new year. I'm hoping. I think so. And the chassis, well, it's almost there. I've got a bunch of things to do before I fire this engine up, but I'm gonna start concentrating on that a little bit. And I'm supposed to get a torque converter at the end of this week, so we'll see what happens with that. And yeah, that's about it. So if you're not doing anything, get out in the garage and build something, man. Later, guys.